Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your buddy Double D, and welcome back to Tom Clancy's The Division. Today, we're going to be talking about upgrading your gear and something that I have started calling the gear set mindset, why that's kind of dangerous to fall into, what it is, and how you can avoid it. So, first off, what is a gear set mindset? Well, a gear set mindset is, very simply put, a mindset where you say, look, I've got a 3-piece bonus or a 2-piece bonus, or I've got 240 gear set pieces. I'm not going to replace that with anything other than 240 gear pieces. So let's go ahead and take a look at my character right now. Now, if we go over to my character and we look, my gear score is at 216, which is pretty decent. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. What I've got equipped is a sentry's chest piece, a tactician's back piece, striker's glove, striker holster, final measure knee pads, and Lone Star face mask. Now you can see that my stats aren't really anything to really be envious of. I'm at 159 DPS, I'm at 248 toughness, and I'm at 22,000 skill power. Now, why did the gear set mindset come into place that you shouldn't look for anything other than other gear set pieces to replace the ones that you currently have? Well, that's pretty simple. And in 1.1, with the introduction of gear set pieces, the way that the Dark Zone was set up was that you just got garbage drops all of the time unless it was a gear set piece. So once you did get a piece of gear that was either crafted or dropped, it was usually 191 to 214, and if you were doing the challenging mode, regardless of whether you did it legit or not, you were getting 240 pieces. So what ended up happening is, with the Dark Zone and the way that it was, nothing was dropping above 163 on a regular basis, even out of Dark Zone 6. You could go up to the hardest PvE content that the Dark Zone had to offer, and you weren't getting anything better than the gear set pieces. So what happened is this mentality set in, which was, hey, you know what? None of this stuff is worth replacing what I currently have, so I'm either not going to pick it up, or I'm not going to pick it up unless I can break it down into crafting materials. Now, that was pretty much par for the course and pretty accurate as well in patch 1.1. However, in patch 1.2, things have changed. Now, the reason that this gear set mindset can be very dangerous to your gameplay and your enjoyment of the game is because a lot of what you get in the Dark Zone is going to be RNG based. Now, with 1.2, not only have they increased the quality of drops that you're going to get out of the Dark Zone, but they've increased the amount of gear sets that you can get from the Dark Zone. So these two things have increased overall activity in the Dark Zone, meaning there's a lot more people going rogue trying to steal your loot, and there's a lot more people in there farming on a regular basis. So if you're a casual player, for example, and you're only playing 1 to 2 hours and you're playing solo like I happen to do, if you go into the Dark Zone and you spend about an hour to 2 hours farming, and you're just behind several different groups who are fighting over not only the extraction points with each other, but the bosses as well, you're going to end up in a situation where you're not getting to extract a whole lot, and you're not getting to get a lot of drops. Now, you also factor in the fact that RNG is based off of those drops, and you may or may not spend an hour to 2 hours in the Dark Zone and not get a single set piece item. I've had both happen. I've gone in with friends for about 2 hours before and not single set piece drop. And I've been on the other end where my friends aren't getting anything and I am the one that's getting all of the green cash and the loot, and it's amazing. It's a great feeling. But it can be also very frustrating if you're not getting set pieces that you want, because what happens is you look at your time spent in the Dark Zone and you go, well, this just wasn't worth my time, and you come away kind of feeling sour. So that can be a little detrimental to your enjoyment of the game. So I want to talk about how to get away from that. First off, you have to understand that a lot of what's dropping in the Dark Zone is all very high item level stuff. Now, just because something's in high item level doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better than something that's close but a little lower in item level, but the chances are up there. So what I started doing is I started picking up everything, and I started paying attention to the stats and mixing things around and playing with my mods, and here's what I ended up with, and this is what I want you guys to pay attention to. So you see I've got I've got all set pieces, but I really only have one set bonus. The rest of these are 240, but let's look at what happens if I come in here. And you see I've got a pretty decent amount of gear. I've got a 214 Predator's chest piece. I've got the 240 Sentry Call. I've got a 240 Sentry vest of the Nomad. But then if we go down here, I've got a 204 high-end operator's vest. Now, at first glance, if you take a look at this, this is not that good because you can see if I put it on, it's going to drop my DPS to 147, even though it's going to boost my toughness significantly. So when I first got this piece, I said, you know what, that's a substantial toughness increase. I'm going to keep that and see what else I can find. So let's go ahead and put that on while I'm talking. So I continued playing, and you can see again, I don't even have talents unlocked here. My toughness is up to 308, my skill power is at 22k, and my DPS is basically at 140. So I'm still not doing a ton of damage. Now let's go down here and swap this. Actually, we're going to leave this right here. Excuse me. We're going to go over here. So I kept playing, and sure enough, for sale one day at the base of operations, there was this Spec Ops pack. And again, it's a 204 gear score, but if you see I put it on, it actually raises my primary DPS to 154.7, and it raises my toughness almost by 100,000. That's a pretty substantial jump. Now, yes, it does drop my skill power, but I don't really play skill power builds, so I went ahead and I kept that. And then you can see I've got these two things to choose from. Now, this is where it kind of gets fun. I have two choices here. I can put on a Striker's Mask and get the 3-piece bonus with some Striker's Glove, or I can use these. And you see what ends up happening is I've got 3 non-set pieces here that are 204 and all 3 of them are 204, excuse me. But they've been rolled in such a way and modded in such a way to where it jumps my toughness up to 461.9k toughness and 181k DPS. Now bear in mind that does drop because of the talent Vicious, but still it's a nice substantial amount of DPS. And no matter how I mixed and matched things with the current gear sets that I have, I could never reach that amount of toughness. And if we go over here to my survivability, you can see I'm sitting at 115k health and the armor cap. So that's pretty nice. It's pretty handy, and it makes me pretty tanky, and it makes farming in DZ 1, 2, and even 3 relatively easy versus going for a build where I have about 250k DPS and about 230k toughness. So my advice to you is when you're in the dark zone and you're grinding, if you're not getting the gear sets that you want, this is not what I want to sit with long term. This is not my ideal build. However, it does fill the gaps for me in between getting the gear set pieces that I want, and it's rewarding to feel like I'm increasing my stats, even if just by a little bit. So you guys want to make sure that when you're out there in the dark zone and you're min-maxing your gear, don't get stuck in this mindset where you say, hey, look, I'm only going to replace other gear set pieces with other gear set pieces and only 240 gear pieces, because that's the wrong mindset, and it's going to put you in a very frustrating position. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, make sure to thumbs up the video and subscribe for more Division content. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Just try and keep it civil, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Double D out. Peace.